Okay. Hey, stream. Jonathan Evans here. The guy just got bodied on the last set, and Michael McCarthy. Spinetta McCarthy.
Spinetta McCarthy. Yeah.
What happened to you? Top four series.
Top four. Well, I won game one, right, and then game two, first turn, I get double slide finish, and
it's like we're about to.
Sorry.
Yeah, sure.
I'm just gonna jump around.
So, we suck. So
yeah,
it looks
suck.
like
That's the bottom. We suck.
We suck.
Yeah,
so we're getting into top four here. We're going to see Chris Donzo, also known as Lunar, on the bottom, sitting at a pretty 143 championship points.
Yeah.
With only 4 PC finishes. If he wins this PC, he'll be at 183 CP, in perfect striking distance for top 16. For top 16 at Nationals to get him a Worlds invite. I don't know much about Brian Tong's CP, but this is pretty important for Chris. And the matchup is pretty interesting. Chris is going to be bringing the Gardevoir, Conkeldurr, Rotom H, Ferrothorn, Suicune, and Landorus T. And on the top, you're going to see Brian Tong, apparently known as Gilgamesh, bring Politoed, Ludicolo. As you can see, Hydreigon, Metagross, Thundurus T, Ludicolo, Politoed, and Terrakion. What do you think about the matchup?
So, I feel like in this matchup, I believe that Chris will really need to he'll really need to be able to conserve Ferrothorn because it's so good against so many members of Brian's team. But Brian on the other hand has to watch out for Ferrothorn, and Chris could also play in between games, some line games, and he could trick Brian into bringing a bunch of Pokemon that are really good against Ferrothorn, and then
really bad against Gardevoir.
Exactly.
I think like the interesting thing here is that Brian has like 2 Pokemon that can really hit Ferrothorn. He has Hydreigon and he has Terrakion. And both of these Pokemon are extremely weak to Gardevoir. But Gardevoir is weak to Metagross. And Chris doesn't have many very strong ways to hit Metagross in range. Like, especially since Rotom H is not something he wants to bring. So like, I think what he's going to try and do, he's very good at mind games. I think he might try and fake Brian out of bringing the Rain mode, and then bring Rotom H, when he feels like it's safer, or when he feels like it's in a good place. I think the matchup between the steals is what's really key to
that's
finishing this off.
Definitely true. I think there's going to be a lot of this set's going to have to go into how the players choose their Pokemon in each set.
And we do see the fist bumps going off, and we're getting right into game 1. So on the top, we're going to see a lead of Thundurus and a Ludicolo. Brian opting for the Rain mode. He can only have one of his counters, and we do see Gardevoir and Ferrothorn. Now, he can only have one of his counters to Ferrothorn in the back. He can either have, unless he did not bring Metagross, which I think would be very silly.
It would, since Metagross would be extremely useful against Gardevoir, which is pretty good against the entire team. Yeah,
except for the Metagross.
Except for the Metagross, of course. So it would be pretty important.
So in this situation, Ferrothorn's really strong. I don't think there's. I think it's pretty safe to say that Ferrothorn's not in any immediate danger. It's safe to go for a power whip onto the Ludicolo, as Gardevoir probably protects against, say, fake out Thunderbolt going its way. That's what I think would probably be most likely. I know Chris tends to. Oh, and we do see the fake out go into the Gardevoir, no protect. That's very interesting. We see the Volt Switch going out into the Ferrothorn. That's interesting. I think Brian probably wanted to, ensure that whatever he brought in was safe, but he also thought that, Gardevoir would protect him. He didn't want Thundurus in this turn.
Yeah, exactly.
Didn't want it to have it in the next turn as well when, Gardevoir can go for a really fantastic Hyper Voice against Chris' team. That means Ferrothorn's free move and might be going for a Leech Seed into that slot. Probably not, though. Could see... Oh, we see the Politoed. So there are no answers to it. There's either no answers to Ferrothorn.
Yeah, that.
Or no answers to Gardevoir. We do see the Leech Seed going into the Politoed. Very strong play from Chris. Wanting to keep his Ferrothorn healed. He knows it's key to winning this game.
So, I think that this next turn is going to be pretty tricky for
Brian?
For Brian, because I think, even though he can take out Gardevoir, right, he can't do anything at all right now against Ferrothorn, right? Ferrothorn is free to maybe power the Poly or power up the Ludicolo, or do whatever it wants basically, unless get bruised by a skull, right?
Yeah, and I do think many Ferrothorn do tend to carry the long berry, being afraid of precisely that occurrence.
Exactly.
It started in 2014 you've probably been in there, but and we do see Chris not going for the Protect Ludicolo, going for the Scald into the Gardevoir. That will do massive amounts of damage. You see the Psychic going into the Ludicolo. It's going to do
lots of damage.
Oh, that is a
hit.
we do see the Scald going from Politoed into the Gardevoir.
Take it out right there.
Taking it out. Chris deciding that, Ferrothorn's probably a bit more key to winning this match. It has a good matchup against everything. Gardevoir, is mainly useful for taking down the rain mode. Not really sure about that Psychic.
Yeah, I feel like a Hyper Voice there would have been enough, and it would have been really nice to get that extra damage off on the Politoed.
Yeah, Politoed's probably not going to do much.
It won't, no, but
it would have been.
It would have, yeah.
And so we'll see what Chris brought in the back. Most of his I believe he only has 2 resistances to water, one of them being Suicune and the other one being already out there. We do see switching off Conkeldurr and Thundurus comes in. This is a pretty dangerous position for Conkeldurr. It's kind of iffy. Many Thundurus T, and I think it's safe to say that this one's probably Scarf.
Oh yeah.
Tend to run. There's the Thunderbolt or Thunder, the Volt Switch. Probably a Grass Knot, and then the choices between, say, a Psychic and Hidden Power, Flying, or maybe another coverage move. And Hidden Power Ice, and then Grass Knot or like Psychic, Hidden Power Flying. Grass Knot or Psychic.
Yeah.
Oh, we do see Volt Switch going into the Conkeldurr. Sorry,
coming out here.
It's pretty good position against the Conkeldurr. We do see the Scald from Politoed going into the Ferrothorn, trying to fish for some burns, and we do not see a burn. The Ice Punch goes into the Metagross, hoping that the Thundurus did not go for the Volt Switch. And we do see the Leech Seed from Ferrothorn into the Metagross. This is rough.
Yeah, it is, and I think that I still think that Chris though is in a pretty good position. I mean, what's Brian?
Oh no, I mean it's rough for Brian.
Oh yeah,
Brian's in a terrible position.
Yeah, Brian's in a pretty bad position here because Chris can just sit there with Ferrothorn, rack up some damage if you see heal himself back up as he did back to full health that turn.
Yeah, and both of Brian's Pokemon are Leech Seed. Now, when you switch out, you can reset the Leech Seed, not keep taking damage, but now Brian can only switch one of these Pokemon. Yeah. The Metagross puts a lot of pressure on the Conkeldurr. Yeah, Conkeldurr is in a really unsafe position. I think you can EV to survive his own headbutt. But it's taking too much damage. The Conkeldurr switching out possibly for a Suicune or a Landorus. We do see Suicune. Chris deciding that he needs the water resist in game 1 when he thinks Brian's going to bring all of his water-type Pokemon, which he did, which was really good for Chris.
it definitely was. See right now
it also does have a pretty good matchup against the Hydreigon and the Terrakion. Being able to possibly Sceptile. We do see Zen Headbutt going into the Suicune. Suicune, I believe, full H, like 252 HP. The Scald also goes into the Suicune. And Suicune does not have a Citrus Berry. Power Up goes into the Politoed. That's going to do so much damage. That's good.
Oh yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. I really don't think there's much that Brian can do to seal up this game here. You can take out Suicune, but that Ferrothorn is just sitting there, slowly winning the game for Chris here. So
yeah. Suicune, we're revealing a tiny bit of information that's left over. So yeah. It means Citrus Berry is probably somewhere else, maybe on the Rotom. I think that's pretty safe to say. But I know he could get a couple of full Paras. Oh no, Vulnberry. Unless Ferrothorn decides to get massively drunk.
Absolutely, yeah.
And miss every attack on this Thundurus. I'm pretty sure the game is effectively over.
Of course, we could see Pokemon. 2 Thunderbolt Paras.
Yeah, and then Zen Headbutt Flinch. And we could see a bunch of silliness, but
it would take a lot.
Yeah, if I was Chris, I'd definitely make my move very quickly. Not take too much time. Suicune showing the Protect, very interesting. I'm not sure that was really. The Thunderbolt does go into the Suicune. The Iron Head going into Ferrothorn, Iron Head with a 30% chance of flinch. But however, activating the Iron Barbs, which when you hit Ferrothorn with contact move does 12.5% damage. Oh, and it's over.
It's definitely over. Yeah, I think that there's not really much there's nothing Brian can really do to come back here. Ferrothorn is going to be healing on most of the damage that Brian can really do to it.
And then protecting.
Yeah.
What interests me is that I dislike Chris's play this turn because he revealed Protect on screen. I think that was very unnecessary.
I don't think that was necessary at all. It really didn't. The game was basically already over, and I don't think Chris really gained much from that.
Yeah, Suikun's just going to die this turn.
Yeah, so it was revealing a bit of unnecessary information there. I do agree with that.
And now, there are a bit more mind games. Many Suicune choose not to carry Protect, going for Scald, Ice Beam, Snarl, and Tailwind. Lowering attack, raising speed, getting good coverage. Yeah, Thunderbolt's going to go on that. Suikun's going to die. Absolutely. This is a very foolish thing. Ferrothorn's not going to Protect. Probably going to go for, say, a Gyro Ball into the Thunderous T. Trying to make it just so it's Metagross and Ferrothorn, which is very, very, very easy. Oh, yeah, that's basically
Yep. So we see no flinch from that headbutt. Gyro Ball goes off. That is going to do lots of damage.
Yeah.
Lucy comes off, and now this game is just on a Lucy timer, pretty much. So.
Yep. It's so sad. Ferrothorn's so good. Why didn't Brian bring any counters?
Yeah, I think that was sort of foolish. Maybe he was predicting Chris to not bring Ferrothorn at all because he thought that he would be over preparing for it. Yeah, lots of mind games and team preview in this set. I think
Chris isn't gonna bring him outside.
Yeah,
and I think next game Brian's not gonna bring the Rain Moon, and it's gonna be fantastic.
It will, yeah. I think that after this, Chris knows that Brian is gonna be very afraid of that Ferrothorn. He's gonna want to have something to beat it, right?
Actually, no, I'm pretty sure he's gonna bring Ferrothorn anyway. It's still so early.
He does have a great matchup against his team, but
and Gyro Ball's gonna go. Yeah, we're gonna get KOs. Game's over.
Game's over. Yeah.
Okay. So how do you adapt?
I feel like it's pretty confusing here. Brian could go with a completely different sort of party here because that Ferrothorn obviously did a huge amount of work that game, right?
Yeah.
So Brian should be afraid, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, Chris might not even be bringing Ferrothorn in the next set, right? Now, of course, Ferrothorn does have a great matchup here.
There are only two Pokemon Brian can bring to answer this. That's Hydreigon and Terrakion, and they still both lose to Gardevoir.
Oh, yeah.
Al, someone tell us how to update the bottom. Sorry guys, it's top 4 right now. How do you update?
To edit scene, and then right click on whatever box you want to edit.
Okay, and then
right click on that. You can now hit properties.
Okay.
All the way above, and then you're gonna be able to type in the bottom part of the box.
All right.
Yeah.
And you can do the same with the other ones. You can just update. The number on the right is how many matches.
Yeah.
All right. So, anyway, this time around, we can see a few different lead combinations, a few different Pokemon in the back of both players here. I think that it all comes down to who gets the better side of the mind game here, with to counter or to not counter Ferrothorn, right? Or to bring or to not bring Ferrothorn.
What would you do if you were? What would you do if you were Brian?
If I was Brian,
well, we will see what search I can.
If I was Brian here, I would definitely want to bring at least something for that Ferrothorn, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna want to make sure that I can.
Probably the Hydreigon, because Terrakion doesn't have a great matchup. We do
have
see the Hydreigon Ludicolo as a lead.
Yeah, we do.
That's
Landorus and Gardevoir.
Okay, so Chris obviously opting to change it up. Going with Landorus this time, I think that's pretty good. Suicune wasn't really good for him in any way, shape, or form. We do see Brian opting for the Ludicolo, which is interesting. Because, I still don't think Ludicolo is that great of a matchup. But right here, it can fake out, it can do a bunch of very silly things.
It can, yeah, but I do think overall Chris definitely has the advantage here because there's not too much Brian can do to take out anything. We do see Hydra switch out.
Yeah, we're most likely to see, say a Hyper Voice and a U-turn from Politoad's going to come in. We do activating the Rain with its Drizzle ability. And we do see Gardevoir going for the Mega Evolution. Leon, that very pretty and deciding to go for the Protect, worried about the possibility of, say, a Fake Out, and we do see Landorus going for the Protect, trying to scout out what exactly Brian was doing. We just see Fake Out into the Gardevoir. I don't like that Protect from Landorus.
Yeah, I feel like a U-turn there would have done a lot of damage to the Ludicolo, and it would have helped Chris gets a really good momentum on there, especially since Ludicolo will probably be fed into a Hyper Voice next turn. Especially if it's Feral in the back, so you can switch that in, and then there will be. Oh, they will put Brian in a really bad position.
Yeah, I think this turn. Gardevoir is going to switch out, actually. I thought Landorus was going to. Gardevoir is going to switch out into Ferrothorn, predicting the double target into it, or possibly having a focus slash Landorus. We do see Scald going into the Landorus slot. Fantastic prediction. It is a focus slash Landorus. Will we see the burn? We do see the burn.
Alright, so that U-turn isn't going to be doing nearly as much as it would do before. Still getting a decent chunk of damage on there, though.
That would have done a lot of damage.
It would have, yeah.
It would have done a lot of damage to Turbo too.
Absolutely, yeah. But, I mean, Landorus, though, at this point, it's kind of a dead weight. You can only switch it and you can get one attack off, right?
Max.
Yeah, and it's a burned attack, too, so it's going to be doing much less damage. And it's not going to last for very long.
We see a Scald from Politoed going into the Ferrothorn. Not going to do that much damage.
Not going to get the bird either.
And this situation, I feel, is still in Chris's favor.
It still is, yeah. I feel like Chris can just go for a Hyper Voice Power Whip here, and you can just...
I wouldn't. That would scare me a bit too much. Because Gardevoir, as we see last game, goes down to a combination of Scald and Scald.
Oh, that is true, yeah.
And Gardevoir is very...
Go before... Oh, I see, okay. So I feel like that, in that case...
I think there's a bit of mind games here. Will Chris protect? Will Chris not protect? Gardevoir does go for protect, deciding that having it to stop the Ferrothorn is too important. The Scald goes into the Ferrothorn from Ludicolo. That will do a lot of damage. Does get the burn. Will it be a Lumberry? It is a Lumberry Ferrothorn. That's pretty solid for Chris. And we do see a Scald also going into the Ferrothorn. Brian's playing fantastically this game. Will we see a Power Whip?
Oh, we get the burn! Oh my gosh, so Power Whip.
This is...
Ludicolo avoiding the Power Whip. So...
That just hurts me.
That was a fantastic turn for Brian, though.
And everyone else is
they're a bit behind over there. So now that puts Brian in a much better position here.
And now you just double into Guardy. It's gonna see us Psychic again.
Most likely won't get enough to take out Ludicolo.
I don't know.
As it's not, Scott going to go into the Gardevoir, going to take it out. And
critical hit, adding
with Gardevoir
down. That's just
Brian's hiding is probably feeling a lot safer.
I think this game's
yeah, I feel like
Landorus is dead.
Landorus can't do much. Hydling is going to feel a lot safer. Landorus, Ferrothorn, I mean, is not going to be able to do much at all with that burn. With Hydreigon in the back. I really think that turn won the game for Brian here. I would be surprised to see Chris being able to come back to this. Coming out. That's going to be decimated by the combination of Politoed and Ludicolo, so I think this game's pretty much over for Chris. Unless he's somehow able to pull through, but I can't see that. I can't see that happening.
He has no way to answer Hydreigon in the back. He has no way to answer Metagross in the back. Ferrothorn's going to die to, like, say an Ice Beam or something. It was all very silly. We do see the switch into taking off that lucid damage. Ferrothorn trying to get a little bit of health back, but no.
He's only going to lose some.
No.
Scott going into the Ferrothorn.
Thunderbolt going into the Ludicolo. That'll do some damage. Okay. Brian, counting his sleep turns, it's very good. Counting is good. It's hard, but it's worthwhile.
It is.
We do see Politoed switching in. Most likely to see something like, say, a Dark Pulse send Scald. I think that's pretty safe here. As Ferrothorn did just protect, and Chris has no real way of dealing with Hydreigon now that Gardevoir died. I don't know why he didn't switch out into Rotom. That seemed kind of silly.
Yeah.
And Jive Time, for everyone who's not keeping track of Georgia, Jive Time won his 8th round Swiss match, 7-1, definitively cut.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Angel was 7-1, and we do see the Dark Pulse. Going into the Rotom,
massive damage.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
There was no situation. Oh my god.
Politoed's gonna be taken out by that Thunderbolt.
That did very silly.
Yeah. Rotom could be choice because we didn't see life orb damage there, and that was a ton of damage there on Politoed. Yeah, it could be choice specs.
Yeah, I would definitely see a choice specs. I'm not sure why.
Me neither.
I'm not sure I agree.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
that's what he gets. Yeah.
Metagross can come out, and I mean, Hydreigon and Metagross can be able to seal up this game really easily.
Yeah, Dark Hydreigon revealing that's faster than Rotom. Also revealing that's probably Choice Specs.
Yeah.
Doing that much. Actually, Rotom has no health.
Yeah, Rotom, he doesn't
That's
look like a
definitely
very
true. Oh, wait.
Yeah. Oh, he protects, so he's not Choice. I'm very confused as to what this Rotom is exactly.
Yeah, Metagross choosing not to Mega Evolve, remembering that there's Landorus in the back and deciding to, just do a bunch of foolishness. This game is over.
Yeah,
we
I
can
mean,
just let it be.
you can wait for Landorus to burn. Landorus can be gone, and what's Rotom gonna do? A 12 HP Rotom gonna do against a Hydreigon and a Metagross at nearly full HP, you know?
Yeah. More importantly, there were so many burns.
There were a lot of
so
burns
many
this game, and I think it really gave Chris a very hard time. I think
Yep,
it was
and we do
when-
see Chris going for the forfeit.
Yeah.
I liked his game plan this game.
I did too.
I think Brian won't switch it up. I don't think Brian thinks that. Maybe Brian thinks that he deserved to win that one. Maybe Brian thinks he doesn't deserve to win that one because he had so many burns. But I feel like he has, he feels like he has a lock on how to deal with Ferrothorn. I think Chris, he does too. Ferrothorn's definitely like in this game.
Yeah, Ferrothorn is just it's a very central Pokemon in this entire set. You know, it's been dictating the outcome of these battles. When it gets burned, and that completely. Brian was in a pretty bad position there once it got burned. You know, it changed the.
I mean, Chris also made like a pretty poor read. I think I think the Protect there was pretty obvious, and Chris decided to go for it anyway.
Yeah.
I think he was a bit I'd say predicting if that wasn't just very silly, over predicting rather. But Chris knows exactly what he wants to play. What did we see? I think we're definitely gonna see Gardevoir, we're definitely gonna see Ferrothorn. The back two is what's really interesting. That's where Chris has the opportunity. Maybe Citrus Berries and Concord.
That's fair, yeah.
And we do see the Ludicolo and Metagross is not good against Ferrothorn, but Ferrothorn's in the front. And we do see the lead of Gardevoir and Ferrothorn going back to, the basics.
Absolutely, yeah.
Get it? Because Ferrothorn's so basic.
Basic,
Yeah,
yep.
it's a pun. It's fun, it's very good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
What do you think about this situation?
So, Gardevoir is obviously in a very bad position.
Oh, yes.
Potentially Metagross. Well, obviously
Mega Metagross.
Yeah. But
And with the fake out pressure from Ludicolo being able to stop it right in its tracks, if it even wanted to go for it.
so we can't even go for Hypervoice here. We're gonna see a Mega evolving though. So we're gonna see an attack on this time.
Maybe. We're like, I don't know, maybe, I do think there's Gardevoir. Yeah, Gardevoir, deciding that there's so many special attackers on Brian's team that he wants to, keep hold of it. We do see Metagross going for the substitute. That's going to be very strong in this matchup. Not Mega Evolving. Power Whip. See, this is why I hate Ferrothorn.
Yeah, sometimes it's so good,
sucks.
and sometimes it's so
It
bad,
sucks
right?
so
Sometimes it
much.
just wins games, and sometimes it loses them. So I assume we saw no Mega Evolution here from Brian because he might have predicted Chris potentially switching Landorus, right?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. If Landorus switches in, Metagross Mega Evolves after that. And then
That is true. Yeah, maybe he didn't quite think through that entirely. Yeah, I didn't know.
we do see the Conkeldurr, Chris deciding that, Landorus or Rotom probably wasn't cutting it. Metagross deciding to Mega Evolve this turn. Good for Brian. If he wants to Mega Evolve this turn, it didn't seem to really hurt this turn. And we do see it going for the Protect, possibly predicting the Gyro Ball, trying to break the substitute. Not wanting to take too much damage. Ludicolo does go for the Scald. On to Ferrothorn. Will we see Foolishness? We do not.
And the Power Whip misses again. Oh my gosh. So that was
This is just so sad.
It is. It's sad,
It's just sad.
That's Pokemon, right?
That's Ferrothorn, man. That's
Ferrothorn.
all it does. It just
Never mind.
misses.
That's Ferrothorn. That's Ferrothorn there.
Misses
right?
everything.
It misses
Everything
everything.
is missed.
It misses
Three Power Whips in a
It misses
row.
Power Whips and
We do see the Moth Punch going into Metagross's substitute, trying to break
Not
it.
gonna break
Not
it.
going to do
Zen
anything.
Headbutt gonna do massive damage on Kelder.
Yeah, you can EV to survive it, and we do see that Chris has. And we do see the Scald going into the Conquer, but that will be enough to knock it out. Brian, knowing that you can EV to be very bulky, we do see the Power Whip.
Actually hitting this
Hit
time.
it.
There we
It
go.
hits.
Dealing
Over half,
very nice
so
damage.
maybe a Ludicolo would have died. We do see the Landorus being the last Pokemon.
Intimidate not going to affect Metagross behind that sub.
Yeah, this is a really bad position for. I think in this position, if I was Chris, I protect Landorus and I Gyro Ball Landorus. Next turn, you can U-turn on the Ludicolo and try and go for a Leech Seed or go for another Gyro Ball on the sub. I think that's the safest play. It gives him the most options. Especially considering that Landorus is. You don't see Focus Sash Landorus.
You don't really know. It's pretty uncommon Landorus. I think most often go for Scarf or Assault Vest.
We do see Ludicolo switching out for Politoed, trying to set up the rain, knowing that he doesn't want to take too much damage from a U-turn. That makes some sense. And Metagross does go for the Protect, thinking maybe Chris will try and go for that substitute. And Landorus is going to go for the Protect, trying to block whatever is coming its way. And the Gyro Ball does go into the Protect. This is looking darker and darker for Chris as the game goes on.
It is, yeah. I think that Brian's sort of setting himself up for the future here with that rain. It could help. Well, even so, I mean, just having Politoed out, that threatens Landorus, right? Of course, Ferrothorn in return threatens Politoed very much, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, Chris may not want to leave Landorus in here.
We do see Landorus getting left in though, possibly going for Earthquake.
Iron Head going to come off here.
Predicting a switch into, and we do see the U-turn into the Landorus, into the Metagross
Definitely trying to
substitute.
break that substitute.
Hopefully possibly going to break it.
We do
I'm
see a
not
substitute
biased.
breaking.
The substitute does get broken, probably going through a Leech Seed into that slot. But this is looking really great.
It is.
Gardevoir doesn't have any safe switches in this situation. That's what
It doesn't, yeah.
Politoed does go for the Skull, probably into the Landorus slot, which switch into Gardevoir. That does a lot of damage. Power Whip goes into the Rotom. That's gonna not
almost
knock
take it out.
And revealing the Citrus, but
Citrus Berry healing it back up there.
this game is
Yeah.
okay. Metagross is gonna substitute.
Yeah, probably to avoid that Leech Seed.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Like if Chris calls it. Chris calls it, goes for the Hyper Voice, he could get a Hyper Voice Gyro Ball into the Metagross, get himself into a good position, but most of his options here are really cool.
They are, yeah. I don't think there's any fantastic option for Chris here. You're just gonna have to try to find the best play.
Metagross does go for the Iron Head. It was much safer than going for the substitute. There wasn't any really good reason to. But Chris had to make stronger plays in order to do that, in order to take advantage of what's going on. If Metagross goes for the Iron Head, there's nothing really you can do.
Sure, they're gonna see the burn here, healing that burn with this Lumberry.
But the Gyro Ball is going to go
into the Metagross,
trying to break that. This is just over.
I don't think there's a whole ton you can do here.
Especially if you have Choice Spike Star Plus, then you're at 60%.
Absolutely, and Intimidate gonna come off in the Metagross here, but that won't really matter since the Iron Head will probably still be able to finish off Metagross here.
Yeah, it did around 60%, 65%.
Yeah.
And Intimidate brings it down to around 40. And we do see Metagross getting withdrawn. Not really sure why. In favor of Ludicolo, which is still alive despite numerous attempts to go for Power Whips. And Landorus goes for the Earthquake, hoping that, silly things happen.
Politoed is going to be taken out.
Hanging on with a tiny bit of health.
Just going to hang on there.
And we will most likely see a switch into Hydreigon into that slot. Yep, and that's what we see. Many Hydreigon, even if it's modest, generally faster than most Landorus, especially if it's generally faster than non-Scarf Landorus. So you can actually EV your Landorus. You can actually EV Hydreigon to outspeed all Landorus, even by out, and it reveals Ferrothorn, showing that his choice specs. Ferrothorn is going to be taken out even through the rain. Chris puts down his headphones with a sigh of depression as we do see Brian Tong heading into the finals.
Yeah. That was a very interesting set. There was a lot of just rough
Power whip
misses, and yes, the scalpers in game 2 were huge. There was a lot of stuff that was not in Chris's favor as he misses a rock slide now.
Just more and more inside.
Rubbing some salt in the wound. Well,
well played to both players. I think Brian played the set pretty okay. He brought the Pokemon he needed to. He made some really fantastic moves in game 2. Played very solidly in game 3. Maybe it would have been differently if the power-ups had killed him. Maybe it wouldn't have been. We don't know. And we will see Brian Tong advancing to the finals to face Brian. Who else is who's in finals? Versus what's his name? Kazi. Versus Kazi in finals. This is very silly.
It was very silly.
It's all very silly.
Yeah, it was.
I should know it. It was. I'm really salty.
Yeah,
I'm salty for so many.
Yeah, this whole tournament has been. There's been a lot of
silliness.
Yeah, a lot of silliness.
It starts with the four full paralyzes on screen.
Yeah.
Rock slide glitches. This is the game we play, but sometimes I wish it wasn't.
Yeah, sometimes it gets a little ridiculous, as we have seen today.
Definitely. Chris, exclaiming, "Why does this always happen to me?" After he had quit Pokemon previously because he got hacked out a bunch in the major. He's really good.
He is, yeah. I think that it just luck just hasn't. It just hasn't gone his way, and it has gotten to him time. So I do believe we'll be seeing
Brian Tong versus Kazi in finals, and
Tony Colleen
will be commentating.
Will be commentating for finals. So I will see you. Good luck to both players in the final.
Could you write down your team? You have his team? Okay, it's fine. I have his team.
Thank you.
I think Tom and I are going to come too. If that's okay.
Tom, I was doing Dan, and Dan was in game 2, and then I was in game 3. Dan and I are switching on Tom. We decided on our
Okay.
That's asking a lot. You're right. Yeah, no, we were like,
You going? Why does this always happen?
It happens to everyone.
It's the second time I've been hacked out of finals.
just dreaming.
First time I was against Angel.
Sorry.
Maybe Angel.
Okay, so on the bottom we're going to see Kazi something. I'm depressed, dude. That was rough.
That was really rough.
I just hope, I just hope it's not like that for the next game. What's Kazi's last name?
Mommy, you were just on my stream.
No, earlier. Kazi, what's your last name?
R-A-H.
R-A-H.
M-A-N.
M-A-N? R-A-H-M-A-N.
I lost.
You were 3-2?
Hey, what?
Hey.
You were 3-2?
Yeah, the name's good.
I'm Brian Tong.
Yeah. So you were watching from the side. What did you? Yep, I know. What did you think about that?
Yeah, I know.
What's Kazi? Okay, sweet. So Kazi, you're going to. Oh, he is running Star Metroid's Brain Team. Yes.
Oh, wait, is it all three you guys commenting?
I thought I was on there.
Well, it doesn't matter.
Okay. So.
Just give me the Holy Grail.
So, on the top, you're. Oh, okay. You want it over here?
I know it by heart, but
Okay.
there's something here. So.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're friends. I think they know.
Yeah.
So, on the bottom, you're going to be seeing Kazi. Are you going to be on the bottom or the top?
Kazi's on the bottom.
Okay.
Can you put their
Wait, you have radio names?
Yeah, sure.
Because Kazi
Yeah.
goes by Awakened City, and Brian
Yeah,
goes
definitely.
by Awakened. Brian, what do you go by? Awakened.
Brian will be
Awaken Zoo.
Awakened Zero and Awakened City.
Kazi's Awaken City.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, with a D and City. Well, there's no space in it.
Oh, we're going to see Brian. Wait, are you on the bottom?
Yeah.
Okay. And you're Awakened City?
No, he's
Oh, okay. So you're Awakened
0.
0. This is all very silly. So tell me about the matchups of these teams. Tell me a little bit about what's going on while I do all this foolishness.
Well, they're kind of similar matchups. I mean, they're both playing the rain mode. They're both playing the. Kazi has the Scarf Polytoad, Brian has the Citrus Polytoad, while Brian still has the offensive pressure. He's got Scarf from the Thunderous. He's got Specs on the Hydra. It's Brian's team is probably a bit more offensive, but Kazi has. I think the big key there is Kazi has to speed control for the Thunderous, whereas Brian doesn't have a consistent out to speed.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying.
Wait, but in the beta, they say you can't eat that, right?
No, you can't.
No, it's too hard. Like, the scales are too hard.
The guy's name is Talux. He's an artist from Peru. I buy his he makes like marker cards and like all kinds of stuff. I actually found him one of like Tia Day sites like T Fury and T Public and all those sites. I saw this T-shirt on, and I was like, "This is so cool! I gotta find out more."
Fantastic.
I started
So-
following him. He's from Peru, so I order stuff from him.
So on the bottom, you're going to be seeing Brian Tong, who you just saw on stream. Awakened Zero is apparently his bridge name. And on top, you're going to be seeing Kazi Rahman, who has been playing through this with Star Metroid / Crawdon Rain. This team, I believe, finaled at Seattle, and then Utah, and then finaled at Kansas or Utah. Crawdon finaled Seattle. Star Metroid finaled Utah.
Yeah.
So this team has seen 2 finals in 1 week. 1 week?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 separate weeks, and then I think the rain archetypes on Paul has been seeing some strong play with Paul seeing finals in Kansas the same week as
And then and JTK.
JTK in top 4, same the mirror match, the rain matchup. We're gonna see another rain mirror match here.
And so they have, you got Polytoad, Ludicolo, Terrakion for both sides. And then you have Thunderous I as opposed to a Thunderous T. And then a Menson Aegislash as opposed to a Hydreigon Thunderous. What? Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. So, I don't know how I feel about this matchup. This is all. I don't know. Rain. I honestly cannot see I'm not sure I'd bring Mence. Maybe if I was Kazi. I don't think Mence is really good in this situation.
It's really weird. I mean, we have the speed control in Kazi's Thunderous, but if you look at Ryan's team, he has that Scarf Thunderous too that puts a lot of pressure on Kazi. He decides to bring that Mence, he decides to bring the
puts
Polytoad.
a bunch of pressure on Polytoad, Ludicolo, Terrakion if it carries something like Grass Knot, something like Psychic.
I think both Thunderouses in both forms can be probably the keys to both matchups.
Yeah, I think actually I really like Aegislash for Kazi. I always like Aegislash against things like Metagross. It's super effective. I think even without Life Orb, I'm pretty sure it's a guaranteed 1 KO. And it has Wide Guard, which is good in some rain teams. Would have been much better in 2013 when you got like a bunch of Kingdra spamming Body Water. And but then you have the Hydra, so then you have to bring something like Terrakion or Polytoad and Ludicolo. But then there's the Metagross and the Terrakion. And there's all I think this is like a very volatile matchup. I think this honestly seems like it's going to be like super player dependent.
It's like a giant chess match because it really depends on which parts of the team decide to bring. With Kazi bringing the Asia Slash, there's not one consistent
I guess I'm stepping out. Sorry.
There's not one consistent out to the Asia Slash on Brian's team besides that Hydrogen. Everything else is a marginal out to it at best. You can perform pretty good damage with the Polytoad, the Thunderous, with the Ludicolo. But besides that, if he doesn't deal with the Asia Slash right away, it could be a big problem for Brian. So we're gonna get into the game here, and I think it really, you'll see a lot of it come down to what we see turn one, just because of it really depends on which it really depends on which parts of the team they decide to bring. So we're gonna see the Ludicolo and the Asia Slash come out for Kazi, while we see the Hydrogen and the Ludicolo come out for Brian. I think this is a great lead in Brian's favor, just because the immediate pressure, of course, the Hydrogen puts on the Asia Slash.
You think the fake outs will come right out on the Hydreigon and there's a speed tie for fake outs?
You can make the argument that you can see the Ludicolo is trying to fake out each other, but it makes much more sense for Brian to be trying to do that, since he obviously can't fake out the Asia Slash. Yeah. If not, though, he'd be trying to put some damage on the Asia Slash immediately. He is going to fake out the Ludicolo, though, and go right for that Dark Pulse on the Asia Slash to see if it holds on. It's just barely. We don't see the weakness policy, so that's interesting right away.
Maybe a Life Orb set?
We'll see here. Flash Cannon onto the Hydrogen, doing a lot of damage, and yes, it does reveal that Life Orb. It's a strong play of turn one for Brian. I mean, the Asia Slash was probably one of the bigger threats to the team, especially if he brought the Metagross in the back there. Because now he's really, especially since he brought the Mets, he's really reluctant. But yeah, he needs the rain. He needs the rain mode to deal with Metagross if Brian brings it in later now.
Does he run physical moves?
I believe he does. I am not sure.
Looking at his team, looks pretty likely that.
Yeah.
Most of his team specialists up the track.
It would make a lot of sense running the physical meds, or even the mixed variant that we see with Star Metroid and with Gengar Boy and how they've run the game so far, and how it's meant to generally played out this season so far. So we're going to see the Ludicolo come back on Brian's side. Immediate pressure, yeah, filling the double edge, the return from the Salamence. We're going to see the Metagross come in a really good position. There's not a lot of pressure on the Metagross right away. Just because the Ludicolo is on the field, but
unless he's scalded with his last experience.
Yeah.
You see the return coming in, as you said before. Would have definitely destroyed that Ludicolo.
This is the Dark Pulse coming onto them, then putting it in range with anything else, and with the Ice Beam coming onto the Hydrogen, taking that out. So, pretty good turn for Kazi. I mean, he takes out the Hydrogen, but he puts himself into a pretty big hole now because he has to deal with that Metagross, and he needs to take at least a turn of switching out to deal because he doesn't have the Polytoad, he doesn't have Brain set up yet. But we're going to see the Ludicolo come back in, so Brian's in a really good position. He has the immediate fake out pressure. He can fake out, I'd probably imagine the Ludicolo, or...
I think he can always just attack and slap the Salamence no matter what, he's going to get the damage off with Iron Head or something.
Oh, no, he could definitely, my bad, he's probably going to fake out and Salamence slap this. The Ludicolo doesn't have really too much pressure onto the Metagross without the Rain mode active, but the Ludicolo on Brian's side is just heavily threatened by that return pressure. We could see, I think we could probably see a sub from Brian's Metagross.
So you're going to see the
Thunderous come in, so he does not have the Rain mode in this game. So I think if he sets up sub and he keeps the sub this turn, I think it's going to be pretty hard for Kazi to come back. We see the fake out go onto the Thunderous slot, probably predicting a return. And instead of headbutt going into Ludicolo. Just gonna miss, but the Ludicolo is gonna flinch, and that's really rough for Kazi.
No chance for a skull burner.
Oh yeah, he needs to get damage on that Metagross, but now he's in a pretty rough hole. It does, of course, open up to the play where he can now throw some paras around. Doesn't have that sub up. I think that's probably left out at this point.
I mean, you could also throw the Tong with carry
Thunder's, I'd imagine, so being incarnate.
Yeah, with all these weird variants.
And the Age Slash holding the Life Orb, so it's probably going to be a bulkier set. We're seeing the Metagross come out for his own Thunder. It's probably just fearing that Thunder Wave. And just go right into that multi-floor. Great play, great switching. We see the Ice Beam come out. Is it onto that Thunderous? But no, the Ludicolo slot.
Heal that HP most of the back.
Yeah, anything that he did is marginal at this point.
Best thing he can do is try to draw some information out of this game.
Yeah, I mean, with the Thunderous coming onto the field, the Salamis isn't going to be doing very much before it goes down. You can't even, once the Salamis comes, like, there's no way to really deal with the Thunderous terrain effectively right now from Kazi's sense. So I think we're going to see this game wrap up in Brian's favor.
HP is going to come out and pick up that salad there. Probably going to see an Ice Beam come right out and hit the others as well.
That is good information for Kazi. We're seeing that it is Scarf now, that you do have that information. He's going to go for the HP Ice onto the Thunderous, trying to get as much damage as he can to take it out as possible. And then the Ice Beam is just going to come out and putting it in range of probably another Ice Beam or an HP Ice.
If he doubles into it, it's gone.
We see the Citrus Break come out, so there's no way that Kazi can take a knockout this turn, so we're going to see Brian just wrap this up really quickly. Now, what do you think that Kazi can do next game to change what he had? I mean,
He was kind of easily beatable with H Slash coming out. He's got a Metagross, and really the only thing on his team that can actually touch it directly. So I think that was kind of an obvious lead that was easily countered by Brian. If you can find a way to conserve the H Slash to later game, because it also has, it can do a lot to Thunder is, it can, if it takes, you can take the Skulls and whatever if he doesn't, if there's no rain up. Even if there is rain up, it's still viable against it. I would honestly, with that, the way he was using it, I would bring Terrakion only because it does neutral damage to Metagross. It is sashed. It can take a hit, it gets rid of the Thunderous, you can't get the flinches everywhere. Once you deal with Ludicolo, if you can even get the flinch on Ludicolo, you can start racking up the upsides on it. Try to outlast rain, but on the Age of Slash, I would not bring as a lead. I would bring it as like the third if I had to.
I think you have to bring it in the back no matter what you do.
Yeah, I would bring it as a third, just because you have nothing else that can take out this Metagross easily.
As far as Kazi's end, I think that getting that Thunderous out earlier, just so he has his speed control on the field, so that
the threat of Thunder Wave kind of thing.
Because Brian had a medium pressure turn one with a Hydreigon, and then he really had no way to stop it.
And even Thunderous Terrakion lead would be really great here because it's got the Rock Slide pressure, it's got the Metagross comes out Thunder Wave, even if it goes in that Thunderous Rock Slide's going to hit it. It's a lot of heavy damage to a lot of his Pokemon that he should get off right away. He needs to put the pressure on, he needs to put it fast, and he needs to make sure that there's no way to slip back into his Brian once he gets that pressure on.
We're going to see, go right into the game too pretty quickly. We're going to see the Age Slash and Ludicolo again from Kazi. We're trying to see if Brian will do anything different. He does.
The Metagross instead of the Hydreigon this time. Maybe he thought that the Age Slash wouldn't come in this game.
I think that's a much better lead for Kazi this game. With a Metagross on the field, there's not really much of the Ludicolo, but the Age Slash is threatened by. At most, it's probably a Scald Burn. I think the Age Slash is free to just start racking up damage on wherever you can, either the Metagross and try and hit it for really hard damage, or probably onto the Ludicolo, figuring the Metagross is going to protect switch, set up a substitute, something of the sort. And you also have the trading fake out pressure. I mean, if I'm Kazi, I probably don't want to lose Ludicolo turn 1 so it's in headbutt, or at least down to low. Yeah. I don't know.
It's game. We're in game. Oh yeah. So we'll put you in for game 3.
So
if this, yeah. I'm sorry about that.
So we're gonna see Metagross go for the protect right away as the Ludicolo's exchange fake out again.
So it looks like they won the speed test time. We're gonna see H Slash. Probably a Shadow Ball to Metagross Slash.
He's gonna go on to that. The Ludicolo, that's a good play. Predicting that protect from Brian's Metagross. Getting good damage on the Ludicolo. Looking at Kazi's team, I mean, outside of the Ments, that's probably
The biggest damage.
yeah, that's probably what he's gonna have to deal with the most. Because I don't know. I highly doubt that he brought Tamaraki on this game. There's so much on Brian's
The rain and the hydrate god.
on both
and
on,
Metagross.
on both teams. I think they're both ready. The Terrakions are too ready to make an appearance in these matchups. I mean, Terrakions also carry quick guard, but even with the rain, you're not gonna get quick guard off. We're gonna see the Zen Helmet go onto that Ludicolo, doing about 60% to it.
Ice Beam's gonna come out.
Onto the Metagross.
Would have been interesting at least. Scald is going to do a lot of damage to the Aegislash. No burn. Shadow Ball is going to come in, and that's going to go into the Metagross and take it down. Big threat taken down for Kazi in this matchup. Makes it a little easier for him to rebound from that first loss.
So I like that play a lot from Kazi's end. Kazi was behind in the fact that Kazi was looking at the situation, figuring that, okay, his Metagross protected last. He's going to probably have to switch out, or he's going to be threatened with losing his Metagross turn 1. So he went for the Ice Beam onto it, probably predicting a switch into the Hydreigon and something that could take that Shadow Ball. But just go right for the Zen Headbutt on Ludicolo. Getting good damage offline of it. I think that's a trade-off in Kazi's favor, being able to take out the Metagross turn 1, and then I think Aegislash has done its job here. I think you can probably work on conserving it now still, but as far as a whole, I think that's what it needed to do. It needed to take out the Metagross this game for Kazi to have a good shot to win this game. We see the Thunders come out, which applies immediate pressure on both of Kazi's Pokemon, being able to probably take them out from the range of both ends with Thunderbolts.
You know Ludicolo is going to outspeed the Aegislash, so it probably was targeting the first slot. Interesting to see if the prediction from Brian was hidden Power Ice, or if he went for the Thunderbolt. I'm expecting to say it.
So we're going to see pretty much everything Protector switch except for Brian's Thunderous, so we're going to have to see what that does. Maybe a Thunderbolt onto the Ludicolo, trying to get the knockout on it, but it will go onto the Thunderous switch and activating the Super Sperry.
Nah, Thunderous is locked into Thunderbolt too.
It's not quite in the Thunderbolt range again because that's Super Sperry. So I'm curious to see if possibly Kazi will go for maybe a Thunder Wave onto the
Aegislash?
Onto the
the
Hydreigon, because
so many Thunders on here.
Yes. Thunderous all over the field. But at worst comes to worst, Brian switching into the Ludicolo, which isn't too much of an advantage if he paralyzes that. But that means that the Thunder is going to stay around for another turn. His Thunderous terrain, but like you can't take it out this turn. But if he Thunder Waves the Hydreigon, I think he's in a really good position because it just can't. It's just not doing much. It's so slow. But he is going to switch into that Ludicolo and take the Thunder Wave for its Hydreigon. I think that's a pretty smart play on Brian's end. I think it's the best play he possibly could have done. But we're going to see the Thunderbolt come onto the Aegislash and take the knockout on it. Now, it really comes down to what Kazi has in the back. Does Kazi have something that can deal with the Thunderous, can deal with the Hydreigon? Because it's just getting free Thunderbolts right now. It's putting damage on the board well. Kazi hasn't been really able to
Kazi
so
gonna
far.
switch out because if he fakes out and switches, it's kind of a wasted fake out there. Do you think maybe his best bet would be going for doubles into the slot, or?
Well, he is. I think a fake out and a switch is actually something that Kazi can afford to do, just because of the fact that Kazi does have the faster fake out pressure because the opposing Ludicolo is paralyzed. So it is going to go first, and it's going to fake out the Thunderous. And let's see if the Ludicolo will paralyze, likely going for fake out onto that Thunderous. And he's going to get hidden power ice onto that Thunderous T, getting some really good damage, probably putting it into range of the Ludicolo now. So I think Kazi just put himself in a much better position now. I think that's greatly benefiting to that para. If he doesn't get that para, then Kazi is likely in a position where he just can't do enough to that Thunderous without losing too much. And I don't think we've seen Kazi's last run. So if it's something that can't deal with the if it's something that can deal with the Hydreigon, I think that's a fantastic decision for Kazi.
Well, that would mean that it's either honestly, I would think probably to Terrakion. I don't know if he brought Mence to this matchup.
Terrakion or Mence would probably Tracheon or Mets would really help out in this matchup, in my opinion.
Maybe he doesn't want to make the speed go up on that loop call on the other side even.
Yeah.
Might have been a reason not to bring it.
Just because of the fact that Mets plus anything else will KO the Hydra. So that's good to note, but he's gonna Thunderbolt into the other Thunderous slot.
Ooh, and it lives.
Oh wow, it does live.
Ice Beam's gonna go into the Thunderous slot. At least he knocks it out, but
That's a good double, just making sure that you get the knockout.
Yeah.
If he had missed that, that would have been a really, really bad position for
you
Kazi.
see the Ice Beam coming. That's gonna take out his Thunderous as well. Both Lightning Clouds are down.
So we're gonna get down to Brian's paralyzed Ludicolo and a Hydreigon against Kazi Ludicolo, whatever mon he has left in the back. It is a Salamence. So we're in the position where Kazi has the speed advantage on the Hydreigon because it is the Spec variant. It will do a lot of damage without ever tries to do onto the Hydreigon, and it can protect. So we're probably going to see a double into this Hydreigon this turn
And
because
he might end up losing that.
he's probably going to end up losing the Hydreigon this turn, but probably taking out either the Salamence or the Ludicolo in the process. Likely the
Salamence
probably Salamence.
Because if he leaves the takes the Ludicolo down, the Salamence is still up, then it's over.
He's going to return into the Ludicolo slide. That's very interesting in my opinion, but
It's a Salt Fest too, so
it is a Salt Fest, so if he Draco's the
Salamence.
as long as Ludicolo can two-hit KO Hydreigon and take a Draco, I think he's in a decent position.
And he can at least take one more and see how many he can take. Depends on the numbers.
Well, he's pretty low. I'd imagine. Okay, so he did over half, so he did well over half, so he's in a position where he can commit it. I'll see a crit.
And then the miss. Alright, we got the miss going, and that Ice Beam is going to bring us to a game 3.
I don't think that miss mattered very much, but a crit on Ludicolo, of course, could have changed the course of the game completely, and some bizarre circumstance, maybe it can maybe not survive the Draco, and that could have been very interesting. But we're gonna see the series tie up and go to 1-1 now.
And we're in the final game, the final set, the final PC in Tri-State area, actually. Nearest PCs are in Ohio in early June, and then it ends PC-wise, I think June 12th is last, other than the on the roads to Nats and the convention ones, which they're starting for some reason.
So looking at that, neither players have chosen to bring the rain off to this game. I think maybe that would be in Brian's favor to bring the rain matchup, just because of the fact that
Keeps that Ludicolo, if it gets paralyzed, it's still neutral speed.
he comes
Yeah,
back.
I'll switch. We're gonna actually have someone else come in for this one.
So I think the big part about that is though that Brian hasn't bring the rain matchup yet, but that's because he hasn't really needed it so far. I mean, the biggest threat on Kazi's team that he'd need the rain matchup for is probably the Ments, because we're not going to see that Terrakion come in. But the Ments has been dealt with pretty easily with his own Thunderous T, and then he's been able to throw it with Hydreigon, and Metagross it's not really touching Metagross that hard. So I mean, you probably don't even need to bring the rain matchup. So I don't think bond choices will really change too much, but we're gonna see different leads from both sides. I assume, just because of the fact that Kazi's done the same thing both games, and I think it's very, very risky if he leads that again, especially if Brian decides to bring the Hydra in turn 1. Right now we got Dan Levinson on the mic next
Hi
to me.
guys. Okay, so we're gonna be going underway with Game 3 between Kazi and Brian. Kazi is gonna be leading with Ludi and X-Slash, while Brian leads with Ludicolo and Thunderous.
So, contrary to my belief, he again went for that Ludicolo Aegis lead. Ended up working out for him in the last game, but it was much in large part because of Brian not leading that Hydreigon and not having immediate pressure on the Aegis Slash. And we're in a very similar position this game because they have not a lot of pressure onto the Aegis Slash. I mean, they can chunk it with a Thunderbolt and a Skull, but it's not really doing too much.
Okay, so Kazi's going to be going for that fake out on the Thunderous, while Brian leading with his own fake out on Ludi, leaving Aegis Slash free to target
I'd imagine the Thunderous.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna see the Shadow Ball going on the Thunderous.
Being that Life Orb variant, it's doing a lot to that Thunderous.
Now, see at this play now, do you think Kazi's gonna go ahead and King Shield? Because a lot of times he's pretty aggressive and he hasn't King Shield at all.
The third move on the
I don't believe so.
I remember
Shadow Sneak.
Storm Metroid was, if I'm correct, running Shadow Sneak. It would be very interesting to see if he was running it, but with that switch out, I highly doubt it.
So Kazi's gonna be switching out to Agus Slash, he's going for his own Thunderous. While, okay, Brian's gonna be going for a Volt Switch, predicting that switch from going back. That's a good play on his part, just because of he's already low HP as well, and wants to be switching out that move.
I'd imagine the Ludicolo on Brian's side is probably going to look to put some chip damage on the Thunderous, likely try and target down the Aegis Slash, because he did miss the Dark Pulse fail in Game 1.
So Metagross being switched in while Ludicolo is going for that Ice Beam on that Metagross, and Ludicolo going for that Giga Gem. So, I mean, both sides, they have a better positioning wise. Do you think Brian has the better position? Although that Thunderous is pretty threatening.
I'd argue that Kazi's in just a very slightly better position, just because he does have the Thunder Wave pressure. We haven't seen the Rain mode in both games, so I don't think we're going to see Game 3 based on what we've seen so far. So I don't think that the Ludicolo is really being threatened by being paralyzed here, but the Metagross definitely is.
I'm predicting, okay, or not. So Metagross is going to go Mega here. Got that pressure now with his phone cross.
Maybe a double into Brian's Ludicolo here. I mean, I think the type is
Oh, okay, well, he's going to T-Wave and then Ludus is going to go for an Ice Beam here. I mean, I think right now he's going to have to... Oh, okay, and Ludicolo is going to go for the Ice Beam as well. But I think right now, though, Brian has to predict which one he should be switching out to, because he needs to get that pressure to get Thunderous right back in, especially to recover some HP, because an obvious T-Wave or T-Bolt is incoming.
If you can predict which slot it's coming into, I think that would be a huge advantage for him. If he can do that and either put some chip damage on the Thunders or even take out the Ludicolo, I think that would be very, 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 very beneficial. If he can take out his opposing Ludicolo before he and wins the speed tie, if he does leave in his own Ludicolo, then I think that Kazi would be in a much better position, or Brian would be in a lot better position if he can get the win a speed tie and then get a Thunder Wave onto the Thunderous T if it is going to that Metagross slot.
Okay, here we go. Oh, but Kazi predicting that switch. He's going to switch out his own Thunderous, going to go into that Agus Slash. Oh, okay. Rather than just going to go in and just send Headbutt. Oh, but he predicted the switch there. So...
And Skull, like you're going onto the Metagross slot?
Yep, here we go.
Do you burn?
No burn, but a Ludicolo goes on the Ice Beam and pops it back. Agus Slash 2. I guess he was predicting him to stay in there that turn, but...
I think that it's very, very interesting because he has the Thunderous out, and I think that Kazi probably does not want to risk a Thunderbolt or a T-Wave onto that Thunderous T switching. It's very, very threatening because if that thing gets a lot of health back, it can be very, very troublesome to deal with. So, and obviously Brian wanting to deal with that Thunderous right away just because of the immense pressure it provides with T-Wave is a very smart play.
So Brian going to go for that Protect on his Mega Metagross, and Kazi's Ludicolo going to go for an Ice Beam on Ludicolo. Okay, but Raj just gets some HP back. Ludicolo's going to go ahead and Giga Drain the other Ludicolo. And that's going to be free for Agus Slash to Shadow Ball. Who do we think it's going to Shadow Ball?
I think you can predict that Tech onto the Metagross.
So it's going to go for the Ludicolo, I guess. Oh, no.
Goes into the... I think that's a generally safe play. Anything that he has to switch into the back besides maybe Hydreigon would not take that pretty well. But then if he does do that, then a return from limits would definitely take out a Hydreigon. So I think that's a very safe play.
Okay, so Salamence is going to be coming in, going to be dropping the attack stat on that Metagross now that it's Mega and...
I don't think the Aegis has any reason to protect King Shield here. I mean, it has a Shadow Ball onto that Metagross if it wants to, because of the fact that Salamence can just return or frustration, whatever it's running into the Ludicolo slot.
I also don't think a Shadow Ball would take out Ludicolo. I mean, I don't think it would take out Scout on the Agaslash though, which is still probably take out. So he might actually just stay in. So Salaman's gonna be going Mega right now. Yeah, see, he does not do the King Shield, and Meteor's gonna go for that Cinder Bed on.
Very interesting to see if he flinches, but he does get off the return.
He does get that KO. Oh, Ludicolo is also fainting from return. And Agaslash going for that Shadow Ball in Metagross. So we see he's going to take that lead now that the Metagross is out.
Very, very solid play for Kazi here. I think that's everything he wanted to do that turn. He got double knockout that turn without really losing much pressure at all. I think the only thing that possibly could have gone wrong that turn is maybe if Metagross had a flinch onto that
made a big difference. Okay, so we see Brian's going to be sending his Hydra and his Thunderous Therian. Now, see which move you think his Thunderous is going to just lock in? Probably Thunderbolt, right?
I could see him locking into HP Ice.
Yeah.
It does the same amount to the Thunderous, to Kazi's Thunderous.
Oh, yeah. And it would help with Salamence. Yeah.
And it would definitely knock out the Salamence this turn, and then he's free to lock into Dark Pulse and then his Hydra.
Yeah. Okay, so I think the safest play for him would be, I guess, King Shield. And then, I mean, the Salamence is going to go down regardless, because quick hit and Power Ice would take it out.
I think if I was Kazi, if I was Brian, I'd definitely consider doubling the Salamence slot.
Yeah.
If he was in HP Ice and Dark Pulse, because right now, protecting from Kazi, unless he got a crazy double target into a protect, I think there's not much incentive for him to protect just because he doesn't get much advantage by doing that. If he was able to take out the Thunderous if Brian was, then I think that the game would pretty much be all piece from there. Especially if the H-Slash was the King Shield this turn.
So both players still making a really big decision here right now, because this is going to be pretty much the game, I believe.
So
this turn is going to be
I think he has to HP Ice the Salamence.
Yeah.
I don't think he has another option. Just because
I agree.
if he does not take out this turn and was to go for a return onto the Hydra, I think that would be pretty devastating for
Okay, so the Agaslash can go for that King Shield now, predicting that. And I'm almost positive we're going to see it in Power Ice. So, yep, so we see it's going to take out that Salamence right now.
Oh boy, here we go.
Okay.
So we're getting into the range where I think Kazi's best play is throw out that Thunder Wave onto the Hydra slot and see if he can get a full power here. If he gets the full power, I think he wins the game. And otherwise, I think it's in Brian's favor here.
I have to agree. Okay, Agaslash always tried to go for that double King Shield. Thunderous just gonna go for that hit Power Ice.
Kazi choosing not to go for the Thunder Wave, probably an HP Ice onto the Hydra maybe. He's gonna take out that Aegis.
So this looks very favorable for Brian right now.
Maybe an HP Ice onto the Thunderous. Maybe.
Looks like it's gonna go.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So again, we're in the same position. Maybe some T-Wave full Paris can change how this outcome's gonna come out, but
we're gonna see some RNG going on right now. You see that possible choice change of move, but he's locked right in there.
Going right in for that Thunder Wave. I don't think that Kazi's Thunderous will take a Dark Pulse if it does hit, and it does hit through.
Would it take it out? Would it take it out? Oh,
it does.
So Brian is our PC champion in Matawan, New Jersey.
I think I'll switch into Thunderous.
I think that was a very solid gameplay by both players. Kazi definitely got a big advantage there by taking the double knockout in the middle of the game, but Brian was able to recover, put immediate pressure even out off of the double knockout because he immediately slash. I think he played that as best as he could have towards the end there.
I agree. Okay.
So you guys know I'm gonna wrap up.
So I guess we're gonna wrap this up now. I'm Tommy, T-Man Coolene.
I'm Daniel. Thanks for watching. Follow us on Twitter at Featuring VGC. And what is yours?
I'm at T-Man VGC on Twitter.
Okay. Thanks a lot, guys.
See you guys.
Take care.
Well, no, the big ones are for you.